What's going on, everyone? My name is Dante, aka The Holistic Reset, and today, welcome to my first ever YouTube video here. Welcome to Nutrition 101. So today what we're going to be covering is a bunch of different topics related to nutrition, but mainly we're going to be talking about how to calculate your proper macronutrient intake. So feel free to subscribe, leave a like, leave a comment, and let's get right into this video. But before we go ahead and do that, as always, if you have any questions, comments, or concerns, feel free to drop them in the comments below, and I'm more than happy to get around to them and answer them. So let's go ahead and dive right into our first topic of today. And the first thing we're going to be talking about, arguably the most important, is how do we set our caloric intake, our appropriate caloric intake to achieve our goals. And by being able to do this, to find our set caloric intake for the day for our maintenance caloric intake, we're going to be able to manipulate those numbers accordingly depending on if we want to bulk, cut, maybe go on a slight surplus, a slight deficit, whatever the case is. Finding our maintenance is going to be the way to go. So starting off here, you're going to take your current body weight and we're going to multiply that anywhere between 14 to 16. 14 is going to be on the lower end, so this is for people who think they have a slower metabolism, maybe aren't as active during the week, work more of a sedentary lifestyle, sedentary job. Use 14 to be on the safer side of things. Now on the higher end of things, the more aggressive side, we're going to look for more of a 16, a higher number that we're going to multiply. And this number is going to be directly related to people who have more of a fast metabolism, more of an active job, maybe training 3 to 5 times a week. This is more for the active athletic style individual. So once we go ahead and find our maintenance number, our maintenance caloric intake, we're going to be able to manipulate that number accordingly, as I mentioned before, according to if we want to bulk or cut. So let's go ahead and start off with our bulking caloric intake. So typically when we're looking at a classic bulk or a classic cut, we want to take our maintenance calories, our maintenance number, and we're going to increase that by about 500 calories for the day. So let's go ahead and write that down here, maintenance plus 500 calories for the day. Now the opposite is true for cutting. We're going to take our maintenance number, our maintenance caloric intake, and we're going to minus that by 500 calories for the day. Let's get that written down there. Perfect. All right, so now that we have the quote-unquote formula for our bulking and cutting caloric intakes, here's what we're going to do. And we're going to use my body weight as an example. I think this will be the easiest way to determine this. So I'm about 195 last time I checked. And let's say I wanted to go on a bulk. How are we going to determine what those calories are? Well, let's plug and play into our previous formula that we had just calculated. And then we're going to also look at bulking and cutting after. But maintenance right now, I'm going to use 15 because that's a good middle number for my current lifestyle. And multiplying that by 195 gives us 29.25 calories per day. That's going to be roughly my maintenance, plus or minus a little bit depending on the activity levels of the day. But from here, we're going to look at our bulk. So if we add 500 to our 29.25, that's going to put us at 34.25 calories for the day. That's how much you want to eat roughly for the bulking phase. And the opposite becomes true when we're looking at cutting phase. So what we're doing is taking 29.25, subtracting that by 500 calories, putting us at 24.25 calories for the day. So right now what we've done is we calculated our 3 macronutrient intakes according to what phase or what goal we're looking to achieve. Moving on here, how do we determine our macros for the day? Let's break it down step by step. So the first thing we're going to take a look at is our protein. And as we know, protein is equivalent to 4 calories per gram. Next up, what we're going to take a look at is our fats, and fats is equivalent to 9 calories per gram. And finally, that leaves us with our carbs, and carbs, similar to protein, is also 4 calories per gram. These are going to be benchmark numbers. Let's make sure that we remember these, memorize them, they'll become your best friends. So let's take a look at how to calculate our protein intake for the day so we can determine our calories from our protein. So in order to determine how much protein we're going to intake for the day, we're going to take our body weight and we're going to multiply by 0.7 to 1. I'm going to use 1 on the higher end of things. There's a lot of controversy around which numbers should be used. 1 is about the higher side. 0.7 is on the lower side of things for protein intake for the day. That's a conversation for a different day. Anyways, 195 by 1 is going to put us at 195 grams of proteins for the day. Again, plus or minus 10, 15 grams, depending on the day itself and your activity levels. From here, what we're going to do is now calculate the calories that come from that 195 grams of protein per day. So going back to our initial chart, we can see that protein is 4 calories per gram. So we're going to do 195 grams times 4 to give us 780 calories. This is going to be derived from protein alone. Moving on, let's take a look at our fat content now. We're going to do roughly the same calculation here. So let's break it down. So with this, you want to take the specific phase that you're going to be working on. For me, I'm looking at maintenance right now. And we're going to multiply that roughly by 25% because that's how much I want my fats to be at. Now, if you're bulking, you can put this a little bit higher. Cutting can be a little bit lower. But take that maintenance calories and multiply it by 25%. That puts us at 736 calories for the day. And now working it backwards to determine how many grams of fat that equates to, we're doing 736 divided by 9, since 9 is how many calories are for a single gram of fat, and that puts us at 82 grams. So we're eating roughly 82 grams of fat for the day on my maintenance phase. Now finally, we're doing our carb intake, and this is going to be a little bit different because we already have these two numbers, so here we're just going to plug and play. What we're going to do is we're going to start with our maintenance calories, again, because that's what phase I'm going to be working on. Plug and play with your phase accordingly. So now what we're going to do is we're going to minus our calories from our protein and our calories from our fat from the maintenance caloric intake. And what's that going to give us? That's going to give us how many carbs we're going to be eating throughout our day in our caloric number. So once you go ahead and plug in all the numbers that you had just calculated from your previous two, we're going to figure out how many calories we're going to eat related to our carbs. And then from there, similar to what we did for our fat, we're going to determine the amount of grams from that caloric number. So taking 1429, dividing that by 4, because 4 calories per gram for our carbohydrates, that's going to give us roughly 357. So we're going to have 357 grams a day of carbs. And again, I just want to say that this is a benchmark number. This is just a rough calculation. It's not going to be super specific to your needs. So you're more than welcome to modify, increase, decrease as needed, depending on what's working. After a week or two, see if you're increasing weight, decreasing weight, again, depending on your phase or maintaining weight. Do not live religiously by these numbers because your body is different. This is just a rough calculation. So like I said, if you're finding that your weight isn't going up, your weight isn't going down, either A, start to increase your daily activity and your caloric expenditure, or increase or decrease the numbers accordingly. Make sure that protein stays high, decrease the carbs a little bit, decrease the fats. But the best way to do it is to go ahead and increase your NEAT, your non-exercise activity thermogenesis, so non-deliberate exercise, or go ahead and increase your workout intensity, your workout times, workout durations, etc., etc. Play around and manipulate those numbers as needed. So what we're doing here is we're writing down our total caloric intakes plus our nutrition. So what we're going to be looking at for my specific phase, I'm maintaining at 29:45, having about 195 grams of protein a day, 357 grams of carbs a day, and roughly 82 grams of fat per day. Now that we have that written down, this is up to you. Like I said, this is a benchmark. It is not your set in stone numbers. Feel free to manipulate these as you need because not all of these numbers are going to be specifically accurate to what your body is saying. So again, to reiterate, increase your protein as desired, decrease your carbs as desired, and with your fats, you can increase or decrease again as desired depending on your specific phase. But again, if you're going to go ahead and manipulate these numbers, you want to make sure that they still equate to whatever phase you're working on. So as long as your protein, carbs, and your fat intake still roughly equates to that cutting, that bulking, or that maintenance phase, you're more than welcome to go ahead and manipulate these numbers. And that's really it, guys. That's the breakdown of how to calculate your maintenance, your bulking, and your cutting calories. That's Nutrition 101 for you. So be sure to save this video, drop a follow if you're enjoying it. Check out my other videos on Instagram at The Holistic Reset. But these are your 4 critical phases. 1, find your caloric intake. 2, increase or decrease by 500 calories if you want to bulk or cut, or keep the same if you're maintaining. Then what we're going to do is calculate how many calories we're going to be eating for the day, figure out the specific intakes according to your macronutrients, and then number 5 is just going to be determine what those numbers are, manipulate them as needed, and that's really it, guys. I would appreciate it very much if you can follow, and some great feedback would be appreciated. Take care, guys.